We have a few special guests that's going to be coming up, everybody. But for some particular reason, I could not go from Zoom into Facebook because probably it's Wednesday night, everybody's in Bible study, everybody's online, and so I had to kind of do a little rework, everybody, but this is what it is. I'm going to share this to my page. Y'all come on, because you're going to get a chance to hear my guests, but you won't get a chance to see them. And then in a little while, when my next guests come on, I'm going to try to see if I can kind of try the Facebook thing again. But let me just go to... So if you were trying to, really reach out to somebody and trying to see if you could see them on, because they had something going on and you're not able to see them, let's see. That might be why they can't get in. Hold on. Okay, so. Okay, somebody give me some comments. I got a really good stuff for y'all. It's just that unfortunately, with the way things are going with Facebook, thank you for your shares. I appreciate you. You won't get a chance to actually see my guests, but you're going to be able to hear them. Y'all put some comments on so I could just kind of watch my phone, make sure things are moving. Okay. So as soon as y'all do that, I will start rolling. Somebody say hello, say something, praise the Lord, say something. Hopefully y'all not church surfing out here. If y'all busy church surfing, then you're not going to be able to really talk to me because you probably shouldn't be over here. You probably should be in your own church Bible study. But somebody talk back to me. I need y'all to talk back to me. I need to make sure that everything's going okay in these comments. You got to check these Facebook streets. Okay, now I see some comments coming up. Thank you. Okay, here we go, everybody. All right, so I'm gonna start with my first guest. You all can still share this. Please push it out. I'm gonna be recording in Zoom, even though you won't see my guests here on Facebook yet, but I'm recording over here. Good to see you, Pastor. And so, I'm still going to put it up. Don't even worry about it. I'm the ministry coach. I got a lot of gadgets and I'm working it out. I got y'all. Don't even worry about it. Don't even fret. All right. Okay. So here we go, everybody. All right. So this is Dr. Debora Hooper, and I am the ministry coach. And today what I wanted to do is we've been hearing a whole lot of talk about our states opening up, and you know that Georgia is at the top of the list. Tennessee is at the top of the list. I just heard about Las Vegas is going to be opening up that city. So it's a lot going on in our nation, okay? And so what I wanted to do is kind of bring on some pastors who are at this particular forefront, who is dealing with the possibility of their churches opening up. Are you going to open up? Are you going to stay closed? Like, what are you going to do? So we're going to be talking about that tonight. But before I actually get in tonight, one of the things I wanted to do, those of you that's been following me, I've been bringing on a lot of guests to basically share, pastors to share from their heart an encouraging word about the pandemic and just talking to the body of Christ and all of that. And so one of the people that I wanted to bring on that I didn't get a chance to, I had the MTA, the fire department, police department, had all kind of people, but I really want to get somebody on from Department of Corrections, okay? And so I thought about my brother this morning. He's also from Georgia. And so I asked him if he would be kind enough to come on with us and to share with us. So my first guest tonight is Bishop Jamie Johnson. Now, we served together in the United Covenant Churches of Christ under Bishop Eric D. Garnes. And, I just loved him. He likes to praise the Lord. He got a lot of fast footwork. He moved like he a New Yorker, but he from Georgia, everybody. But nevertheless, he pastors the James Temple Miracle Center Church in Georgia. And then in another city, he pastors the White Hill Baptist Church. So he pastors 2 churches. But I really, as I said, wanted to bring him on because I wanted to talk about the prison system, and what's going on there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of, hold on a second, bring him in. And Bishop Johnson, one of the things that I was thinking about today, we talk about so many different things in regard to this pandemic, and we're kind of just looking at, the world that's in front of us, but most of us are not necessarily, I wouldn't say we're not thinking about it, but we don't really hear that much conversation about what's going on behind the walls in the penal system. So my first question to you is, do you think that the inmates in the penal system feel forgotten?
Yes, that was something at the very beginning of this whole process that I had to talk with several guys, making rounds to their different buildings to just try to, keep them informed. Some of them had misinformation. Some of them had information that was given to them by their family members that was misinformation. They were taking information from the news and trying to dissect it, trying to understand it. And it really kind of became overwhelming. And so, I was able, along with some of our other senior staff members, were able to go in and try to keep them calm and understanding the reason why we were having to do some of the things we did. So to the best that we could do it, we were able to also include some level of social distancing. We were able to help them understand the importance of that. We had to stop our religious services around the first part of March and just try to get them to understand, the seriousness of it. One of their main questions was,
I got several questions for you. So,
Sure.
let me kind of jump in here a little bit. So one of the things you said was, they were getting misinformation. So at what point did you guys, and you serve, as a matter of fact, just for our listening audience, I don't know if you want to share what prison you work at and what capacity, at least, like what capacity do you serve in the Department of Corrections?
So I serve as a chaplain with the GEO group, which is one of our private groups that service some of our state offenders for the state of Georgia.
Okay, and how long have you been in chaplaincy?
It'll be 6 years this year.
Okay. So they've been getting that misinformation. So one of your jobs, so now that they don't get any family visits.
Correct.
Right? Just like in nursing homes, a lot of the visits have been cut off in regard to family and things like that. So, I guess they're getting phone calls. Are they able to continue that?
Correct. So we give them one free phone call a week outside of emergency phone calls that sometimes I have to make as being the chaplain.
So you're making the phone calls for them?
The emergency phone calls I make, but the one free phone call that they're getting, they're able to do that from their dorms.
Okay, and let me just say this again for those of you that are watching me on Facebook. I was not able to make the Zoom Facebook connection. I guess it's just a lot going on, and the whole runway is probably just so crowded, but I still wanted to make sure that you get this information. So that's why you're seeing me and you're not seeing my guests, but you get a chance to hear them. Bishop Johnson, so I just want to make sure that the audience is getting what you're saying. So in the midst of this, even though we're on lockdown to some degree, and we're not able to go out, because we still can go out with a mask and gloves and all of that kind of stuff, but you're saying if you're in the penal system, that they're only getting one phone call a week.
Yes, that's one free phone call that is not charged to them that they get per week.
So they can get other phone calls to their family members as long as people are paying, is what you're saying?
Right. So as long as they have money on their accounts, they can always make those phone calls during the time that the phones are on. If there are emergency calls that have to be made, like if someone is terminally ill or death, God forbid, then I make those phone calls for them.
Okay. Now, unfortunately, we're up in six digits when it comes to America with the number of deaths that we have experienced all across the country. I mean,
Correct.
this pandemic has just had no respect of person. How often are you finding yourself going to an inmate to let them know that a loved one has passed?
Last week, I spent most of my week handling just about all deaths and crisis calls. So usually we average about anywhere from 2 to 5 on a monthly basis.
Okay.
Currently, I think we're over 20
Wow.
for this already. So that
For
is an
the
extremely
month?
high number when it comes to offenders' family members passing away.
So for the month so far in the penal system, when you work, it's about 20 phone calls, 20 deaths that have occurred with family members from inmates.
About 20 plus have happened this month. From the start of April 1st up until now. Usually the average is about 2 to 5 per month.
Wow. And so I'm assuming that has to be, really tough because, you
Right.
know, a lot of people talking about they can't be there for their loved ones and
Correct.
all of that. But I mean, these guys and women are actually behind prison walls and they can't even, talk to their family. If they made the one call that week, you
Right.
know, wow.
And and usually we for some offenders, they have sometimes the opportunity in order to go to the funeral services. But because of the pandemic, all of that has been shut down. So the alternative that we have offered is that if the funeral services have been recorded, then they can send them to me, and I could try to give them some privacy as far as viewing that private viewing of the funeral service.
Okay, and I want to reiterate that because I think that's great. And basically what he just said, everybody, is that if the funeral service has been recorded, and that is something that has been happening now, but if that has been done, then that inmate would be able to at least see that particular recording. That blesses me,
Right.
because one of the things I've been sharing with people, and I haven't put the flyer out there yet, is that I have Bishop James Chambers, who's also a part of United Covenant Churches as a Secretary General, just a mighty man of God in New York City. But he's a clinician and he's a professional in the area of grief counseling and substance abuse and things like that. And I'm sure that that when a loved one behind prison walls here, their mother has passed, their grandmother has passed. Are any cases where it's been more than one family member?
Yes.
Wow.
One particular case last week, one of the guys had to call up to my office. He actually had 3 members of his family to pass within a 2-day period. And he was one of the guys that actually took it really hard. So it's in a setting like that, usually most of our guys are really tough, um, but you really see their vulnerability in a moment like that. So
I'm sure. And you said, for the most part, you're still working, but the preachers that were coming in, of chaplains or whatever, and coming in and offer these services that would give, some type of ministry to soften the grief, based on what you're saying, all of that has come to a halt, but you're still working.
correct, yeah. I'm still there offering the chaplaincy services to our population as well as to our staff.
Wow.
Um, so we're still doing that, but we have limited our classes, we've limited our services. Any gatherings, we have tried to limit them. The only thing that we cannot limit is their dorm structure and setup.
Right. So let's talk a little bit about that. What's the population at the facility that you're in Georgia?
So the facility that I'm currently at, we can house up to 1,576 inmates. As of yesterday, our count was 1,439. So we're not at full capacity, but we are, pretty much almost there.
Now, is one of the reasons why you guys are not at full capacity is because they released some of the people that was in your prison? Because I know in some prisons they kind of release some inmates.
Right. So the state of Georgia is going through that process.
Oh,
State of Georgia will release up to about 200 offenders.
mm-hmm.
They have to have 180 days left on their sentence. And the other requirement that they required was that they would also have to have no violent charges. So after they have identified those gentlemen, then they will go ahead and test them for the coronavirus. As long as they don't come back positive, then they will proceed with releasing them. If their max out date is during this period, we still have to release them. So that part has, kind of worked itself out.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that we have not been able to do is transfers and court dates and hospital visits, and those that may have had surgery scheduled. All of that stuff is backed up, and will remain backed up for some time.
Yeah, that's really got to be something. Have you also had any breakouts there with the COVID? As much as you can share, of course.
Right, not with our offender population. We have not had any to test positive as of right now, or as of the time I left the office today. We have had some staff members to test positive. So those staff members have immediately, they've already been quarantined and following those procedures that have been set in place.
Okay, but you haven't had any with the population among the offenders. What did you guys do to kind of make sure that doesn't happen? As far as the 6 feet distancing, I know usually they go outside, they got to go to the mess hall, different things like that. Are you involved in that area?
Right. Well, when they go to the chow hall, they were going to the chow hall up until today. Starting today, we actually will be taking their trays and their food and lunch and all of that to their buildings so that we can try to minimize as much movement as possible. And so right now, they are having their yard time, but it's not as free as it used to be. It used to have been. So now they're only doing it by those individuals that live in that particular dorm or that particular pod. They go to the yard together. Usually we could, intermingle and mix and have intramural sports going on, but we had to cancel all of that. So everything now is currently based off of just their dorm and their pod.
Wow. Now, because you have to kind of move about throughout the facility, you and the other staff members, or do you guys always have to be protected with a mask and gloves? Like, how are you all maneuvering?
Yes, so we have masks for all of our staff, as well as gloves. And we also have masks for our population as well. We actually gave the population their masks last week. So they have had their masks now for at least a week.
So for like the beginning, the first couple of weeks or whatever we were dealing with this, they didn't have anything.
No, now they started to make their own and come
Oh,
up
okay.
with
Tell us about it. I want to hear. I got a guest coming up soon, but tell us because we don't know. And then another thing I'm going to come back and ask you is, what can we do? I have a relative who is behind walls, and I'm sure that my listening audience, we want them to know that we care about them, and they're just not forgotten in the distance. But I know it's a lot of creativity that happens, in prisons. But tell me, what are they doing to make masks?
So basically, they may be using old garments, old things that have gotten old, and they were making masks out of those items, so that they could
tying them or sewing classes,
just tying them, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So usually we wouldn't let them do that, but because of the circumstances and situation. We kind of, was a little bit more lax with that, just to kind of help them be a little bit more secure.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And so just going back to when you were talking about when you have to bring that bad news, I've had you on in the academy, along with another former chaplain now.
Right.
but he's since retired and everything. But I'm just curious, when you do take that bad news and then they basically hear that a loved one has passed away for another inmate, are they kind of, is there some camaraderie there? The brothers kind of get together and, really trying to strengthen that person. What happens?
Yeah,
Because they're not there. Their family is not there.
right.
So I would assume that it's some type of population becomes the family. How does that work?
Correct. Correct. So usually if they are informed of a loved one passing, their circle, immediately embraces them and try to
Mm-hmm.
be a support system for them. I continue to let them know that I always will have an open door policy. So if it's moments and times that they're dealing with these issues and they, just can't get it together, then they can come to my office and see me so that I can try to help them either just cry or whatever it may be. Sometimes in those settings, it's harder for them to, be emotional in front of the population because you don't want to show sense of being weak.
Wow.
Sometimes they have to just come to my office just to cry. So I leave an open policy and I try to inform those officers that may be working over those buildings just to inform them, hey, if this guy is acting a little bit different, this is why. And if he is, send him to me. So let me deal with it instead of, having to try to, be combative.
Wow, that's great. And I'm sure that pastor side of you, with the Holy Spirit and everything helps you to be more sensitive, to
Right.
their needs, even just by looking at them and seeing, this person needs to kind of come away and needs a little bit
Correct.
more time and a little bit more ministry. As we begin to kind of wind it down, Bishop, do you think that we need more chaplains out there? There's some people that are watching, and I'm sure, maybe the Lord's laid it on their heart and they may be thinking about it. Do you think we need more, and particularly with ministers getting involved?
Yes. Staff wise, as well as volunteers, chaplaincy is always a job that, kind of people don't really look at that much
Mm-hmm.
because they kind of feel like, they have their own perception of it. But in
Mm-hmm.
reality, as ministers of the gospel, yes, we may be in charge of our churches. We may have things going on, but in reality, the real work as being a minister really comes, and you will see it being in these type of settings, being a chaplain, whether it's at a hospital, prison, or nursing home, or what have you. Those opportunities really can prove and show, how much God we really do have. Uh,
Wow.
because when you're in your own community, it's kind of like, that's what everybody does.
It's
That's what everybody
easier.
does.
Yeah, it's
Right.
easier. Yeah. So one of the reasons why you're still working is because you're paid staff. Is that what it is?
Correct. So I
Okay.
staff, and they also the director over chaplaincy. He told me when we were trying to determine who was essential, who was not essential.
Mm-hmm.
So they told me, they say, well, can you ask your other boss, whether you're considered essential or not? And he said, well, brother, we are and we're not.
Oh, okay.
So when he said that, I knew what that meant. So I knew I would probably have to go in from time to time.
Okay. And before I kind of get to this last question and to our next guest, you going in and dealing with all of the stuff you have to deal with all day. Are you the only paid chaplain that's there?
Yes, I'm the only chaplain on staff.
Okay, so that's a lot. So what is it like for you when you leave there?
Well, I have a lot of
No,
quiet
really.
time.
We want to know what's going
Right,
on, with guys like you. We talked about the inmates. I mean, you're ministering to them. And I do
right.
always believe that any capacity when you're really ministering is tiring, exhausting, it's all of that. So in the midst of this pandemic, what is it like for you when you leave there?
Yeah, sometimes you have to take you have to understand. Well, my routine is I'm going to work. I'm mentally preparing myself for work. So usually I might not be listening to music. It might be just my quiet time and moment. Um, uh, for instance, the situation last week with the guy that broke down in my office, the way he did, I had to take a break after that just to kind of get myself together to be able to deal with the remaining of the rest of my day. And then sometimes at the end of the day, you know, it's the same routine, having to try to, you know, focus. I might have to, you know, call someone to say, hey, I just need to talk about it. I need to get
You need to vent.
Right. And so, you know, over the years, I've learned that, as you stated, Bishop Chambers has been a great help in helping me, you know, deal with that.
He's excellent. I can't wait until he comes on Friday.
Right.
And so my last question is, you know, again, we're on the outside, and even though we're quarantining or we kind of locked in our houses, we're really not locked down the way that they are locked down. They are locked down so many ways, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, so many different ways. How can we help if we have loved ones that are struggling and they're behind prison walls, or if we don't, you know, we don't know anybody, but just we're Christians and we want to help? What would be your suggestion how we can help? There's a whole lot of people on here, and even though they can't see your face, I'm sorry, Facebook, we couldn't get through, but I wanted to make sure you didn't miss this. But how can we help, Bishop?
I would say if you have family members that are behind the wall, continue to provide support to them, call them, write them, and warn them of the reality. The guys at my facility know that I give it to them straight, no chaser. I don't even cut any corners. I don't give them false hopes, because I want them to know the truth. And in the reality, you know, I think as long as we're contacting them, letting them know that they are okay, when they begin to worry is when they cannot get in touch with their family, or they're trying to get in touch with their family, and they feel like that their family members are dodging them.
So you're basically saying if you do have somebody who's in the penal system and they call, you want to pick up their phone.
Yes.
Because they need that connection. They need to hear a voice. Just like we feel like I got to get outside. I mean, the other week I was like, I got to go outside or something, you know. They need some type of social connection. And the funeral director that I had on, and I'm going to end here, kind of switched things around and said, Dr. Hooper, I don't like that social, what are we doing? Social distancing. It should really be physical distancing, because we need to be socially connected. And I definitely understood that. Bishop Johnson, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. I apologize. We are recording this here, so people get a chance to see your face and all that kind of stuff. But thank you. This is such valuable information that you brought to us, because at the end of the day, for me, and I'm sure that all of my ministry friends would agree, everybody matters. All souls belong to the Lord. You know, God is concerned about everybody. And let's continue, Facebook family, to pray for people such as yourself, you know, who are indeed on the front line. So thank you so much. I appreciate you, my brother.
Thank you. Have a blessed night.
All right. God bless. Bye-bye. Okay, everybody. So again, for those of you that are just joining me, we are here because actually on Facebook, where you only see me, I know you are so accustomed to seeing my guests, but for some particular reason, we could not get through. So that's why we're doing it this way. And I still wanted to have them on. You can still hear their voices and all the valuable information that they are sharing with us. And then once this is all said and done, I'm going to upload it, and then I'll be able to put the entire thing on Facebook. So you'll still get it. It'll be connected to my YouTube. Don't even worry about it. I still got you. All right. So we have another guest. This is my brother, he's also a Georgia pastor, Pastor Corey Hambrick. He is the pastor of a good friend of mine from New York City who relocated there in Georgia, and that's how I met him. But many of you know him from being one of the preachers of Atlanta. And so we are so happy to have him on tonight. He's the pastor of the Life Church Christian Center. In what city, Pastor Hambrick?
That's in Conyers, Georgia, Dr. Hooper, on the east side of Atlanta, on the east side.
He's on the east side. I don't know the west, the north, or the south. But he's on the east side, everybody, if you want to go there. But and he's also, you know, in the governmental area. He's been involved also in that for many, many years, and now running for sheriff and all that. So, you know, we're going to get a different perspective of some of the things that he's going to share with us. But one of the reasons why I wanted to bring you on, Pastor Hambrick, is because, again, we've been hearing so much upheaval about this reopening of the state, of what the governor is doing. And then we've also been hearing another side from the mayor. I think Mayor Bottoms, I think. Forgive me if I'm wrong.
Pastor Bottoms. You know,
Right.
my mayor name is Keisha. She a pastor.
Oh, she is a pastor?
No, I don't know. She's not a pastor. No.
But her last name is Bottoms, right?
Her last name is, yes, Keisha Lance Bottoms is the mayor of Atlanta.
Right. And then we have Governor Kemp, right?
Correct. That's our governor, Governor Brian Kemp.
Right. So, you know, I talk to pastors and ministers all the time. I do a lot with leaders. And one of the things I think is so interesting in this hour is seeing leadership on a national level.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? You know, to really to see what's going on. But talk to us about the spirit of Georgia, or in your area, particularly Atlanta. What are people feeling? What are pastors feeling? What are you feeling right now, knowing that 2 days from now, this whole thing is about to just shift and open up, and we getting ready to see something new? What is your feeling?
Well, first of all, Dr. Huber, I want to thank you for having us on tonight. You didn't have to call us. You could have chosen anybody, but tonight you chose to have us, and I am humbled. I'm grateful that you would reach out to us to be on the show. As it relates to what's happening here in Atlanta, Georgia, period, our governor is Brian Kemp, Governor Brian Kemp, and the mayor for the capital of Georgia, Atlanta, which is the city, is Keisha Lance Bottoms. And for the most part, as you guys have heard nationally, our governor has opted to release the shelter in place and allow people who are in certain categories in terms of entrepreneurship to reopen their businesses. And that would be bowling alleys, it would be massage parlors, it would be nail salons, hair salons, tattoo shops. It's a phased approach. And of course, what's going to happen on Monday is then when they will release individuals to open restaurants, sit-in restaurants. However, even while we're opening those sit-in restaurants, then they will have to still follow a strict guideline as it relates to social distancing, as you have adequately said, and making sure that people are 6 feet apart and you can't have more than 10 people. Now, of course, that serves as a challenge. When you're trying to do someone's hair or do someone's nails, then I don't know how you can do that and be 6 feet apart. And so that's something that, to be honest with you, in our area, from a community standpoint, I serve as the chief of staff for our local board of commissioners. So essentially, I am the person that assists our CEO. I'm the second, I guess you could say, in command in terms of the entire county. And so we have been working very close as it relates to my profession with the national and our state government to make sure that we're in line with what is coming down from the White House, from our state's capital, under the Gold Dome where the governor serves, and even here locally at our local BOC. So most of us, we were shocked.
Let me just interject real quick. So basically, having said all of that, you're basically saying to us that you're in the political arena. So what you shared with us is really coming from a political standpoint as regard to what you're saying right now. I just want to kind of put that out there because I know you're a pastor as well, and you know we've shared that with everybody, but most people that come on may not have that slant. So this is an opportunity for people to hear it from a different vantage point. Please go ahead. Thank you for sharing that.
Yes, ma'am. No problem at all. So I'm kind of getting a perspective from both ends. And I think that's why I love ministry, the ministry that God has given me, because what it allows me to do, it allows me to transcend the four walls of the church and to be able to engage people, not just in the church house, the actual brick and mortar, but also the marketplace as well. And I'm very blessed to be able to be bivocational and to be able to do that. But from a government official standpoint, one of the things that we want to do, obviously we were shocked that there were some mayors who didn't know which way the governor was going to go. But the governor, he went that way. And our Bible, not being too religious, but it does teach us that at the end of the day, we are supposed to follow what the government says do. However, God is still giving us common sense. And everything that we do, the Bible says that we should never cease praying, in all of our ways acknowledge him, and he'll direct our path. And so even when government officials may not make the best decisions, if that's your opinion, then you still have a responsibility to pray to God and ask God, how would he would that you would be able to act in a time like this. And so what we've done here at the local level is all of our workers are working remotely, which means all of our county staff is actually at home. Those of them that can actually work from a remote status, they have their laptops, their cell phones, and the county government is still working. We're not going to release our employees to come back to work until probably a month out. Why? Because we don't know what's going to happen on Friday. A lot of people, they have received these stimulus checks, and I'll be the first to tell people, don't go crazy over the stimulus check. You don't know if you're going to be laid off next week or the week after. So I'm thinking that, what we have to do as government officials, and we have agreed, and that has come down from my leadership, is let's just pause before we open any parks, before we open any governmental centers or any type of things that we do from a governmental standpoint. And let's just watch the trend. As of today, in our local county, we were up to 142 cases, and we have experienced 6 deaths since all this has began. Now, that's not as high as Fulton County, where Atlanta is, or DeKalb County, our neighboring county, where there's thousands of people who have been hospitalized and hundreds of deaths. But we like to believe,
is what you're saying, in Conyers?
In the city of Conyers, Rockdale County, yes, there's only been 142, and I say only compared to other, but once again, one death is way too many. Do you
have any idea what the numbers are in Atlanta?
They're in terms of cases, they're in the thousands. I don't have the exact number for you, but in terms of deaths, obviously, I think at one point they were etching almost in the hundreds, multiple hundreds of people that have succumbed to this. Correct, compared to Conyers. And so that's what we are. We're just watching. We want to make sure that we continue to watch the trend. And right now, we believe that we have flattened and that we're on the backside of it. But now that everything is opening up and we don't really know who all has contracted the disease, some people are asymptomatic, which if you're asymptomatic, it means that you're not exhibiting any symptoms, but you're still contagious. So we're just testing people. Our biggest fear.
Wait, because many people may not understand what that means. They heard the term, but they may not understand what asymptomatic means. Say that one more time to be clear on what that means.
So if you're asymptomatic, it simply means that you do not exhibit any symptoms. So you don't have the cough, you don't have the fever, or you do not have the shortness of breath. But although you don't have it, one thing about this disease, it's a silent killer. They're calling it the invisible enemy. That means there are people who are walking around with it that at this particular point, they're healthy enough and they're not exhibiting symptoms. And they are dangerous because they're continuously being around other people, not even knowing that they themselves have contracted the virus. And so that's what asymptomatic means.
That's the fear, right? Is that you
that's
just
a
don't
huge fear. Correct. It's a huge fear. We don't know who has it. And so, of course, you're absolutely right. And so now you open up the government, you open up, the state, and now all these people are coming out, and you may risk us peaking in terms of our cases. So from the political standpoint, that's where we are. Now, when you talk about the church, if you want me to go there.
Well, yeah, I want you to go there, but before you kind of even flow into that, I'm sure you know that the AME bishop has decided that even though Governor Kemp opens up the state, that all AME churches in Georgia should remain closed. I posted the letter up on my
Yes.
Facebook. What did you think about that? And then on the heels of that, you know, share what you'd like to say in regard to being open or closed. But when you heard about it, what did you think?
I think that the bishop displayed a great deal of wisdom. I think, you know, obviously those of us who are in leadership, I think it's incumbent upon us to make sure that we consult others, you know, that we get the information, because let's face it, you know, as a pastor, the pastor, the keeper of the sheep.
Yes.
Now, many of us, we are what they call pastors. That's the office of the pastor. But what we're really doing is we're shepherding, right?
Yes,
so the sheep's pastor, the office of the pastor, is the keeper of the sheep. And when you're keeping the sheep, the pastor, the main responsibility of the pastor is to protect the sheep from wolves. And you get what I'm saying? So the shepherd does that, keeping them in the pasture.
Corona is
exactly.
the wolf.
Corona is the wolf. Exactly.
Yes,
that's a wonderful metaphor, analogy. It is the wolf. And so because we don't know where this wolf is, then it's incumbent upon us who are shepherds, you know, aside from collecting the offerings, we know we got bills we got to pay, we know we got the mortgage, we know we got the rent. But if the people aren't living, then they can't sow. Come on now. Let's just be honest. They can't sow tithes and offerings. And so many people believe our governor, he was looking more at the income and the economical impact of staying closed. And we can't do that as pastors. What we have to do is we have to protect the sheep. We have to shepherd the sheep. And I think it was wise. It also depends on, so what the bishop did, I think, was very wise, be it that he's probably dealing with a different demographic of people. Now, you know that they say that the most vulnerable is the elderly and kids, young people whose immune systems haven't either developed or they're on the backside and they are deteriorating. So for the bishop to make that move, he's probably looking at the demographic of people that he is shepherding or that his pastors are shepherding. And he said, you know what, we don't need, you know, a copious amount of deaths to take place. So we're just going to, you know, ask everyone to stay home until we can kind of trend it even more.
Exactly. So what are you sharing with your congregation? You know, I mean, I know that this is going to happen Friday. So have you already, today is Wednesday, have you had your church meeting? Maybe you just got off with the church. I don't know. But have you spoken to your church yet as to what the plan is, the protocol, what you're thinking? Have you done any of that yet?
Yes, so we have informed the executive level leadership in our church about, you know, how we're going to move. It was about 7 of them. And what we did was we told them that right now, especially me having the information that I'm having and I'm receiving every single day. And then once again, now, when you could make educated decisions.
So everybody, I'll be close to Pastor Hambrick because he got an inside track.
Sure, go ahead. Just tell them to call me. They can call me.
Go ahead.
But Dr. Hoop, I told our people straight point blank, I said, listen, don't even think about it. We're not even considering opening up because we just don't know what's going to happen. And, you know, to be honest with you, and I'm gonna say this, I believe even what you're doing tonight, I believe this has forced us in the church to challenge ourselves beyond the traditional means of articulating and distributing the gospel.
Yes.
I think churches that have never thought about going live or streaming their platforms or broadcasting the word of God, they've been forced to think about that now, or, you know, they're going to become irrelevant. And so for our ministry, we thank God. We're humbled that we were already on a streaming platform. That's something that we have been doing. Now, the truth of the matter is we were not focusing on it to the point where we were trying to build it in a way of pure divine 100% excellence. We had a camera, we had a streaming platform, we came on, we went on. But now I am being challenged as a leader to become more innovative, to become more creative, to make sure that we give everybody, the same experience. And I'm telling you, our people are responding. They're loving it. So we've been blessed in this. Now, when we come back, be it that now we're not supposed to forsake the assembly of yourselves. Well, it didn't say how we were supposed to assemble.
Exactly.
Me and you are assembling right now. We're assembling
I've
right
been saying it for 8 years, but nobody wanted to listen to me. But go ahead.
Well, they listen to you now. And I'm going to say this, shout out to everybody, every pastor, every creative thinker, every person who thought outside the box and say, you know what? The traditional church is the brick and mortar traditional church. However, I can reach more people when they can get it on demand. And so now you guys are absolutely correct. And you were in the vein and you were able to pick up and continue going. So our church, because I know the demographic that we serve, we're predominantly African-American. We're the middle-aged crowd from 25 to 65. And so we do have elderly members in our church. And so I don't want to expose them to that. So what we're going to do is, for my church, as I'm watching it, we're not even going to think about it until the second week in May. And even in the second week in May, that's when I'm going to announce whether or not we're going to be meeting further in June so that we can be able to prepare for people phasing back into the church. And so that's where we are right now. Now, in terms of other people who are deciding to have church, then guess what? I can't judge them. I won't judge them because I don't know the demographic of people that they're serving. I don't know the type of information that they have. Some churches had never stopped, believe it or not, and no one has been affected. That has happened. And I believe that we, as a body of believers, as Christians, before we opine, before we offer commentary, then we have to be careful that we know everything the other person knows before we judge them, because you don't know what they're dealing with. But as for me and the house that I'm serving, we're going to be staying at home.
Right. Now, so we're going to be staying home. So you do know some pastors. Let's talk a little bit about that other side with pastors that are having services when they open back up, or when they or continuing to do it. I'm sure you know some pastors with your position and what you're in. What do they have to say about that? When people ask them, does anybody ever share? Well, the reason why I'm doing it is because I know you talked a lot about demographics, which is something that I teach in regard to marketing churches and for your membership, and even on Facebook, a live stream. And I'm like, you might want to market an audience. I taught a class on this Monday about, everybody's basically looking at the same people on Facebook. Have you ever thought about casting your net on the other side? You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot that we can do here. But in regard to some of those pastors that are out there having services now, what do they have to say?
Well, once again, some of them, they are out there having ministry. And I think their viewpoint is, once again, they're looking at it as a separation of church and state.
Okay.
And they feel justified to say, well, and, to a point, they are accurate. When the government can tell you to shut down your church and you feel like you have to shut it down because of what the government says, then we got to be careful that, we're not subjecting the gospel to the control and to the authority of government.
Government, yes.
Because government they don't know. Yes. Well, let's not forget, we all know that, it was the Roman soldiers at the discretion and at the command of their leader that took Jesus into custody and executed the cross. So that was our God, our Lord and Savior, being taken into the government's control. Now, although it was, the Jews, and, we understand it, the story, those of us, but who actually carried it out was the government. And so we have to be careful. And that's why you have to be, as a leader, you have to be in tune. You have to study to show thyself approved. But at the same time, there's a fine line, because the Bible still says, somebody gonna get me on this, and it's absolutely true, that we have to render unto Caesar what is Caesar, but the government also set on his shoulder. And our faith teaches us to make sure that we're working with the government as much as we can. However, there is a fine line that we have to be careful that we do not cross, and that we allow the authorities of a secular entity to come in and to control a spiritual situation. So we got to be careful that we don't. And so these pastors that still having service, they are, for some of them, they are determined to say, I will not allow government. We're fine. We're doing whatever we need to do. We're socially distancing. Our church may not be that large, or even if it is large, we're sitting people, 3 seats apart, or we have increased our services, or we have PPE, the protective equipment, the personal protective equipment at the doors for the people who are touching people, our ministers, and or we're making sure that, whatever we do, we have the sanitation, or the sanitary means, the wipes and things, right, at the doors when people come in. So there's various reasons why they're still doing it and why they have it, and they feel justified in it. I just pray that God is leading them, and that, they have an ear to God to know that it's not going to come out of them. Then, of course, everybody's on Psalm 91. About how, it's not going to touch them and things like that. And, if that's what God has allowed you and called you to operate in,
but it could touch somebody next to you.
Correct.
Yeah. So you spoke very profoundly about the political area, and because of that area that you're in, I just want to ask you, Pastor Hambrick, you have a lot of new pastors who are out here now. Do you think, even with the theology, that it would be incumbent upon them to at least know something about the government in regard to church and state?
Wow. Yes, I would.
If I'm just listening to what you're saying, and I get it in regard to these pastors that are hosting their services, they do have a stand. And I think it's important, but again, you move on a whole total different level than I do. And so I'm just wondering, with your level of expertise, would you share something with our listening audience, to these new pastors out here, to say, hey, I know you got all that theology and you jumping and shouting and all that stuff is good, but when you going into a courtroom, you might want to know just some basic tenets of, the government, what they can do. You are a candidate, I believe, if that's the right word, in regard to being a sheriff, right?
Correct. I am.
Right. So, if you're coming to shut my church down, it would be incumbent upon me. If one of my pastor's friends said the sheriff came to shut me down, it would be incumbent upon me to know, well, let me look this up just to see what can they do. You know what I'm saying? Do I have any rights? So I'm just curious, is that something that you would share with maybe some young pastors coming up, that, some tenets of the law you might want to know? What's your feeling on that?
Yes. Well, I do feel as if not only should you know your theology, but I also feel as if you should understand your local policy as relates to ordinances and politics within your particular area. I would tell any pastor, if you want to be successful in your communities, which is where we serve first, then you want to get to know the leadership in local government, so you can partner to get some things done. The wealth of the wicked is laid up for the just.
So you're saying that all of this, I don't need to know, and I don't care about going to the meetings, and I don't want to be a part. You don't need to be doing that. If you want to get some things done for your local church, and not just your local church, but your local community where you are, you might want to go to the meeting, is what you're saying.
You want to find out what, exactly, yes. You want to find out what's going on. Why? Okay, so let's just break it down to layman's terms. Most churches, they want to receive the benefits of being a 501c3, a nonprofit organization. That involves government. That means that you're asking the government to exempt the church as an organization from filing and paying taxes. Well, there are certain liberties and privileges that come with that. But then there's also stipulations that you have to know so you can stay within, the policies and the guidelines so that you won't lose that privilege and you lose your nonprofit exemption status.
Yeah.
And so that does, include and call for you to know more than just, 3 points and a hoop. You got to be able to talk and communicate and to fellowship with your mayor, with your city councilman, with your county commissioners, with your sheriff. Pookie gonna get put in jail, and if you got, and Pookie mama gonna call you,
Exactly.
Or these days it's Bernard. It's not Pookie, it's Bernard.
It's not Pookie anymore.
So you want to be able to pick up the phone when you exactly, and say, listen, Sheriff, what happened? Can I get in to pray with them? And so I think that it is wise to make sure that that multitude of counsel that, you engage as a senior leader of an organization in a community that you say that you're called to serve, that those mainstream leaders as well, so you can be even more effective in your service.
Wow. That was just excellent. Pastor, we're going to wind down here, but
okay.
Again, so what is your wife saying? She wants to get her hair and her nails done. What is she doing? What are members in your church?
Well,
what they doing about their hair and their nails? Friday coming, some of them got their check. What's the word on the street?
So my wife is a master licensed cosmetologist. So
everybody's coming over there with a mask and gloves.
It's in the house.
It's everybody coming to your house with masks and gloves on. You're going to have a line.
So she's doing her own hair, and but she doesn't go to the beauty salon. She does her own hair, and every now and then she actually lines me up, so she knows how to do that as well. Yes, ma'am. So that's what we've been doing, man, for the most part. We've been hunkering down, and people, in terms of our members, they've been doing their own hair. I've been seeing some of them online, some of them looking a little rough. Amen. Praise God. But we all are. We're trying to do what we need to do so that we can stay within the guidelines of the law. And so, we're hunkering down. We're doing the best that we can. And the truth of the matter is, Dr. Hooper, we all doing the best. If you got to throw a headpiece on, baby, throw a headpiece on. If you got to glue or if you got to sew it in, go ahead and do it. And for some gentlemen, some of us got to shave and just have a bald head just for a season, then it's worth not dying. Now, unless you have somebody in your family, somebody that lives in the house, or somebody that you trust very, very well, and you can still adhere to the guidelines, then you can invite them over to your house if they feel comfortable enough to do the hair. That's what's happening anyway. But you just got to do what you got to do. You got to go back to what you know how to do. Trim the nails, give yourself a pedicure. But let me tell you.
Yes, sir.
Let me tell you, Dr. Hooper, and I'll end with this. One of the things that this has allowed me to do, to be honest with you, is during this time, I posted on my Facebook page the other day. I posted some red hot links. I fried some red hot links. And I had me some eggs on some white bread and some mayonnaise and a little bit of mustard. Then I had me some Lay's potato chips, and I had me some hot sauce on them Lay's potato chips. And then I had me a nice, cold, refreshing glass of grape Kool-Aid. Now, I know y'all up north don't understand what I just said. But what I just said was simply this. Every now and then, you have to go back to what you used to do when you had to do it. Exactly. And that was some of the most, comforting times of our lives. And what I've enjoyed is being able to sit on the couch, to slow down, to be able to watch Harlem Nights or some New Jack City or some Coming to America, old movies that I know about.
With your family, too.
Come on. Yes. Yeah. We've been able to watch concerts. And so I believe during this time, you have to find that Melchizedek anointing. Some of you would have never taken a break. You would have never calmed down. You've been going from the work to the cell phone to home to doing your side business. But this is a time that I believe that God is calling us back to sanity, spiritual sanity, not being spiritually bipolar. He's calling us back to center. He's calling us back to the place where we first found him. Some of you, you're getting your anointing back. It's you sitting at home. You don't thought of a book. You don't thought of a new company. This is the time, beloved, exactly, that God is causing us to stop, to re-energize us. So when we go back into the church, it's not an old anointing. It's not an old tongue. Because you have spent some time with God and he's getting ready to take you to another level. That's the Melchizedek anointing. And some of you will be birthed through this pandemic. I believe it in Jesus' name. And so that's what we've been able to do, Dr. Hooper. Yes,
I love it. I love it. So you working on that book, the Melchizedek anointing? You working on that one?
You know what? We just released one. We just released one called Pain Promotion. Pain Promotion. You can get it on our website. Yes.
Okay, so let me hold on a second.
Okay.
So everybody, this is Pastor Corey Hambrick. Name of the church is the Life Church Christian Church. Yeah, the Life Church Christian Church Center. Wait a minute. The Life Church Christian Center. I said it right. In Corey, Georgia. Now, many of you know him from the Preachers of Atlanta. He was the cop. Right? Did I say it right? He was the one everybody was scared of on there. And so he just put it on. Thank you. See, I love the techie. So he just put it up there. But everybody, he has a new book out. Pastor, tell us a little bit about that book, and again, tell them where they can go get it.
Okay, so the book is called Pain Promotion. And essentially what the book is about is, you know, when the scripture talks about for the suffering of our present time, it's not to be worthy, or it's not even worthy to be compared to the glory that's going to be revealed in Romans. And I just believe that whatever you're going through right now, the present suffering, the suffering of this present moment is not even worthy to be compared. Watch this, which means God understands your present suffering so much so that he's able to value it and compare it to the glory that he's getting ready to give you, which means whatever you're going through right now is not even compared. It's not even worthy to be compared to the glory that shall be revealed, not established, but revealed. Anything revealed, watch this now, it's already there. God just pulls the curtain back. Your promotion already exists. And so what we teach in the book is how the pain is going to be used as a stepping stone or as a conduit to get you to your promotion. Whatever you're going through right now, I promise you, God is going to, I don't care, whatever it is, the sufferings of this present moment is not even worthy.
The present suffering.
It's not even worthy. Present suffering right
she
now.
thinks she's going to win, but we still going to get victory over this virus because God's going to.
Come on.
Okay.
Come on. Okay. Yes. So that's what I talk about in terms
pain
of
promotion. Y'all better go get it.
Pain that's going to directly catapult you into a promotion. So that's the name of the book. And you can get the book at on our website at www.coreyhambrick.com.
And they also go to Amazon and all that
that's
stuff.
www.
outlets. You put it up there?
No, directly through our website. Directly through our website right now.
Up there. Pain promotion, everybody.
Yes, ma'am.
And the church website.
Yes, ma'am.
So good, Pastor. Thank you so much. I appreciate you and the great work that you're doing down there in I'm going to say Corey, Georgia. Well, it's going to be yours. Before you go, since we got all these pastors on here, I'm about to give you a whole city, right? That's that pain promotion. See,
I receive it.
The whole city. Come on here. I'm about ready to run.
I receive it.
Pastor, before you go, we certainly want to pray for you in regard to your candidacy
Amen.
For the sheriff. Tell us a little bit, just a snippet before the other pastor comes on in regard to a sheriff, because sometimes we need you guys. What does the sheriff do?
Okay, so the sheriff is a constitutional officer here in the state of Georgia, and is one of 4 constitutional officers each county has, and basically they do 4 things. Number 1, they protect the courthouse. Number 2, they maintain a jail, so they're the keeper of the inmates in a county facility. Number 3, they serve civil papers. And then for sheriff's offices that are full service, they also patrol and they enforce law in the unincorporated areas of a city. So some people live in the city, and some people, although in the mailing address, it still says the city, but they pay county taxes. They live out in the county, and you have the sheriff as opposed to the police to show up. That's what the sheriff does. And so we're running here in our county, Rockdale County, for sheriff. And that is something that we believe God has called us to. And we just look forward to extending our ministry as it relates to leadership in government.
I love it. So you can still pastor being a sheriff at the same time as well.
Correct, because right now, my church, I don't work there full time. So I have a job full time. You know, I didn't want to do that.
So you bivocational.
I am.
Okay, I'm going to say bye right there. That's enough. I don't want no more. There's a pastor that is bivocational who said he got a job, okay?
Come on.
A job, not a job, a job. Pastor, thank you so much. This has been tremendous. I appreciate you. I'm definitely going to be picking up your book. I'm going to get it from the website, and so you can autograph it and all of that good stuff. We're going to be praying for you. We're going to be in touch. We're going to definitely have you back on, and I'm looking for the Melchizedek anointing. I can't remember how to spell it, but it don't matter because it's still going to come through the Pain Promotion. Thank you,
Dr. Huber. Thank you so much. We're going to get Iris that book and get her. I'm going to sign it for you. Get it from Iris. She'll mail it to you.
Thank you, sir. God bless you. I appreciate you so much, Pastor. Okay.
All right.
Bye-bye. Everybody, this has been just so tremendous with all of these guests that are coming on. We have a pastor that's coming on from Tennessee. Oh, my God. Hold on, let me just let them know that I am ready. We was kind of in Georgia, and the only reason why you see me on the screen and you don't see my guests, I know normally my guests are on there and we come right into Facebook, but I guess that, you know, this live streaming platform, everybody's getting a hold to it and it's getting overcrowded. And because it's getting so crowded, everybody, what's happening is that it's harder for these platforms to kind of penetrate and get through. It's like getting on a highway and you can't get on. So that's what it is. But nevertheless, I still said, you know what, we're going to get it done. I got all kind of gadgets and all kind of stuff sitting up here or whatever. But nevertheless, I wanted to make sure that you get it. Are you being blessed? Are you being blessed? Give me some hearts. Let me know y'all being blessed. I just said, listen, Corona ain't gonna cut us off. No, we're gonna get victory over this virus. So y'all give us some hearts. We're going all the way to the great state of Tennessee, where they serve, let me see, what are they famous for? What is it again? Somebody in Tennessee tell me, is it, oh God, what is it? Barbecue. Did I say it right? Pastor, where are you? You here yet? Pastor Jason Turner. Is it barbecue, my brother?
Barbecue, that's our specialty.
Oh my God, Barbie, a B and a Q. Come on here. Barbecue. Yes, one of my academy members like, yes, because I know they was like, have you been? Have you been? You gotta go. You gotta go. But my brother, I just said, I just wanted to have you on. When I saw Tennessee pop up, I said, oh my God, I gotta get in touch with my brother, Jason Turner, amen. He passes the Boulevard Church. It is a mega church, everybody. So I wanted to have somebody on who can just tell us how in the world is you gonna social distance 2,000 people? I'm like, somebody got to come on here and talk to the people. So Pastor Turner, first of all, you know, I know y'all not in church, you know, everybody's kind of out, but things are getting ready to turn. But what has it been like for you? I mean, you know, you running 2,000, 3,000 people, you got 2 services. I mean, Corona's just been acting crazy. You doing funerals and just a whole lot. What has it been like for a mega pastor? That's why I want to zero in on. I kind of want my audience to hear some of the challenges, because sometimes we hear what the little guys are doing in the storefront. But, you know, I believe the playing field has been leveled, and some of us are really dealing with the same stuff, just on different levels. So what is it like for you? And welcome.
First, Dr. Hooper, thank you for the invitation.
Hold on, everybody. Your screen paused. You can hear me. You there?
Megachurch with
Your screen
struggling
paused.
internet,
So
right?
your screen paused. So this kind of like
Okay.
start
So
over again. You
I
have
think,
to move too much,
yeah.
because if you move too much, it may pause. Go
So
ahead.
okay, I want to thank you for the opportunity to come on, but just to jump right to it, I think you said it very clearly. The playing field has been level. It doesn't matter how many people you're running on Sunday, how big your facilities are. I think everybody feels like to be in a position where we're not meeting on campus at all for anything and everything virtual, we feel like we're doing twice the work to make it happen. And so
Talk about
it's
that. I don't
really,
rush too much. When you say twice the work, tell us what that means, because we don't know.
you've got to work extra hard to stay to connect with your members. So it means making sure you're getting multiple touches from your elders, your deacons, your ministerial staff, other staff members. When it comes to grief, church can't show up like it used to show up. So you've got to overwhelm families with that love. It's a place where there are no boundaries. I used to be able to pull into my driveway at 6 p.m., put my cell phone in another room, and church was done until the next morning. Now it's nonstop. There is no start to the day. There's no clear end to the day. Ministry just keeps on happening. And so I think it's that feeling that you're just always engaged and it's pulled out some different skills. You have to move from being pastor, teacher, administrator to now being a producer. Because you have to curate that online experience, right?
You should see how many gadgets I got going right now. And when we couldn't get through, I said, now most people that tried to get through that couldn't get through, they didn't know what to do at all. But I've been doing this for a little while, so I was like, no problem. We're going to go this route. But go ahead, Pastor. It's a lot. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's lots of work. And so, we talked before about how when it comes to funerals and how those things are happening now.
We're gonna get into that, but tell me, have you guys been experiencing a lot of funerals in Tennessee? You're in the Memphis, Tennessee area.
So in Memphis, yes, not in proportion to New York City, but there have been COVID-related deaths. We won't reach our peak for another few weeks. But there are the normal, various stages of life deaths that do happen in the life of our church, but not anything on the order of what New York is like.
Right. So how many funerals do you think you've done this month?
It's been very light. I think total we've done 4.
Okay.
4, yeah. And that's light for us.
Right. Wow. And so you were saying earlier in our private conversation that, as most people know, I had a funeral director on here. So we've shared that information. That video is still up. That as we know that you can't basically have the funerals in churches and, you can't have that many people. But again, I want the audience to kind of hear from you. Have you had funeral in your churches, and why not? And, if you go into the funeral homes, like how's all that working for a mega pastor?
So within a week after we made the decision to suspend in-person worship, we had to communicate with our church to say, hey, death happens. But with the restrictions on congregations, there was no way of telling a Black family, right, you can only have 10 people to be a part of this service. And so we had to say, we're not going to do services in the sanctuary. We'll defer. We encourage you really to rethink what it looks like to have a home going. So many have been, those families that have passed this month have had the services with their immediate families in funeral home chapels. And what I've done, because I can't send an associate, right, to do a service.
Slow that up. So when your members have passed away, even though you're a mega pastor, in this particular season and particularly, you're saying you were not going to send somebody in your stead.
Correct.
You had to be the person that was going to administer what needed to be taken care of.
You're correct. Shepherds have to be present during this season. You can't go ghost now. And that's part of it. The other part of it is a liability issue. If they're paid staff and I send them into a scenario where we know that they're going to be exposed, that presents a legal issue for me. And so if anybody's going to go,
Y'all
I'm going to
listening?
go.
Now, let me ask you this. When you say there's going to be a legal issue, are you just saying that because you're a pastor and you're thinking this off the top of your head, or do you have a staff that or lawyer for your church, which I'm sure you have, that said to you, you can't do this? How does that work?
My in-house counsel, Bridget,
His wife is I forgot.
Yeah, actually went to law school in Tennessee, right? And so just presenting, hey, if you do that, this is what you open yourself up to, right? Then you think about the reality, even though you're the pastor, you're not immune to this. There's no vaccine for this. Right. And so I had to make the decision to say, church, we want to be there for you during these times. And so we're going to still love on you. However, we want to encourage you to think of something small. And later in the year, we give you the option of having a memorial service where we can celebrate the life of your loved one.
He's buffering everybody. Hold on a minute. And for those of you that are just joining, the only reason why you see me and not my guest is because we weren't able to get from Zoom to Facebook, but I still didn't want you to miss it. So even though you can't see their faces, you'll be able to hear their voices. Pastor, you back? Okay, it buffering again.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay. It might be your earpods. I can hear you without them.
Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you without them. Talk. Because you can hear me, right?
Right, I can hear you now.
You're fine.
Okay, great.
I can hear you. Yep, that might be what it is.
All right, here we are.
You're good. I'm waiting on you.
Okay, great. So that's where we are. That we want to
give the church the option to have the memorial services after, when things get back to normal.
At a later date, when this was first breaking, I had one of our elders experience the passing of his mother in Virginia. And, that meant I was going to fly out to Norfolk and be there with him. But he said, hey, Pastor, you stay where you are. We're going to do something later this year. And we can be together then. But I'm coming home to Memphis. And we'll send Mom away at a later time. So that's what works for me in my context. It might not work anywhere else.
Right.
But that's the decision that we had to make in the interest of the health and safety of our members.
Now, you also mentioned to me about eulogies, and so on your level and, dealing with all of this, you've come up with some creative ways, and I just loved it when we had a conversation, because at the end of the day, we've never seen anything like this before in our lifetime. The last time it was, 1918 or something. That's about 100 years ago. So there is no rule book for it. So people are basically working it out the best way they can. So in regard to eulogies, to accommodate, those who pass in your congregation in light of this pandemic, share with us what idea you came up with.
So when someone passes, I'll contact my media team. We'll set up a time and I'll go in, and let's say it's 2 in a week. I'll go in and preach a eulogy before the camera. They're recorded. And they'll deliver it to the funeral home to be shown during that celebration of life. And so I think that has brought some consolation to
seeing your face and hearing your voice.
Right. And I think that's so important that I think they appreciated that I took the time to do it. And then afterwards,
you did something. There was some type of contribution there.
Yes. And I think the extra step of care, I remember yesterday, I sat down in my office and just took out some stationery and wrote a couple handwritten notes to those families, just again expressing, I'm praying for you. I'm thinking about you. You have to let people know you care during this time. You just can't retreat and say, well, I'm sheltering in place. No, you've got a flock.
You got to figure it out. You got to
Yeah.
figure it out. One of the things that I've been saying constantly, and I know that some people are giving me some kickback about it, and maybe they'll get it later, and particularly those that are really pushing to be on Facebook, is that it's about pastoring your church, not Facebook.
Right.
It's okay to go out there and fish, but
Right.
Sunday, Bible study night, you got to bring your people in and talk to them,
Yeah.
and that power of touch, like you said, you wasn't able to be there, but you was able to put a video presentation, a handwritten note. You did something. Go ahead. I know it's something you can ready to say. Go ahead.
Right. I think it even goes to the point of what I've done. I know they see me on Sundays and Wednesdays, but I've began to work through our list to set up Zoom calls with just random members. Hey, just want to check in, want to see your faces, want to hear from you how you're doing. It's going to take a while for me to get through everybody. But
Right.
it's the fact that we've created a forum for us to check in with them and to hear from them how they're making it through this crisis.
Let me ask you, Pastor, you're doing all of that. What is your wife doing? Let's talk a little bit about the First Lady. Is she giving any type of contribution other than running around after 2 kids? I see those pictures and videos too. But tell us, how she's helping you in ministry, particularly in this hour.
Yeah, and so it's her helping with many of the innovation and the creativity. So what we started to do was, and this was her idea, she said, out of your sermons, we've got to find a way for families who are now forced to be at home to continue to deepen in their faith. And so she began writing a devotional that goes along with my Sunday message that we put out in the following week so that parents can talk to their children about what it is that the pastor preached on Sunday on that screen. And it's gotten warm reception. She's got resources that she puts along with it that can share with them songs or ways they can reinforce it with arts and crafts. So that's been a huge addition for our church to have something for parents to use with their children who they now have to homeschool.
Yeah. And again, it's all about, for me, it's all about staying connected. Like that connection piece is so good. Talk to me, Pastor. I've been in your church several times, and you all have a large audience there, and also a large group of seniors. What are you all doing for them in this particular time? They can't get to Walmart, even though they got them senior hours, thank God. But what are you doing for them?
So the Saturday after we didn't have worship in person for the first time, I had a call with my men's leaders. And I charged them, I said, I need you all to call our seniors. And if there are those who need anything, make sure you can arrange them getting it, whether it's for you to order it, whether it's for you to take it by there, find a way so that they don't have to leave. And so we've even done something to stimulate our Boulevard member-owned restaurants while serving our seniors. So we begin to sow into those restaurants and says, hey, we don't need anything for our staff or for us. We want you to deliver these meals to this senior housing facility. So we've been doing that every week. To keep stuff, to let those seniors know, we thank you because for years you carried this church.
Exactly. That's true.
And so now,
and how old is that church?
It'll be 100 years next year.
See there, 100. That's why it's still standing, because you're showing that you care.
Yeah. So it just takes working at it, and I've designated a staff person who calls seniors just around the clock. That's what they do. They call seniors, see if their needs.
Wow. I did a live stream yesterday talking about, the new normal, what will communion look like? What will baptism look like? What will it look like when you pass the mic to Hooper when she's at the church? Are they going to give me a new mic? Do I have to bring my own screen? And have you thought about what the new normal would be like in your church? Are people going to have on masks, or gloves are going to be at the front of the church? Have you given any thought to it, whether it's concrete or not, just what you're thinking about implementing on the heels of the COVID?
Right. If I could just say this before I get into any details, any pastor would be blessed to pull together your key leaders along with people who are, it doesn't have to be an epidemiologist, it could be a physician, a nurse. You need to consult with the medical community about what your new normal is going to be, because we don't know. Epidemiology, we don't know how viruses function, and there's no vaccine for this, there's no cure. So don't just get in the room with just your staff and some lay leaders. Get somebody who knows what they're dealing with in terms of medicine to consult with you. And that's what we did when this first hit. And I meet with that team every week about how this thing is developing. Now we're turning to what does the post-COVID world look like in terms of our ministry. And so it means a number of things. It means for us, we already had a phase 2 plan, which was to multiply our services on the weekend so that we can accommodate the numbers that may potentially show up while maintaining social distancing. I think.
What does that mean? You, my friend Bridget's husband is never going to be home because you're doing 7 services on the weekend.
I think our best. I
told you earlier that you don't want Corona. I told you that's the side chick you don't want. Just playing. But what are you saying when you say that on the weekend, all these extra services? What does that mean?
Yeah, it means, so we have 2 campuses.
Right.
So it means us running a number of services on Saturday and then turning back around and running a number on Sunday. But when it comes to midweek, what we're kicking around is, hey, virtual Bible study is working.
Right.
So I might be able to come in and record a number of weeks of a study and to give myself a break during, let me rewind, where did I lose you?
We heard you though, we heard you.
Okay, to give myself a break during those times where we have to ramp up the number of services. We're a church also that does communion every Sunday, and you've been there. We have this whole 10-minute thing of distributing it. I don't see how we're going to be able to do that, because that means multiple hands touching the same container, right? Then in another campus that we have, we distribute it by people walking and putting their hands in and taking it out. You can't do that. So there are a whole number of things as it relates to cross-contamination you got to think through. Buy a bunch of gloves.
I talked about this yesterday. What about the restroom? You know what I'm saying? People going in and out. Is it sanitized? Did somebody take care of the stall for the seniors? You know, I just kind of was putting conversation out there.
Yeah. And it means also investing in some hospital-grade cleaning supplies. Right.
And I kind of put that burden when I talked about it yesterday on membership and said, what about your tithe and offering? Because now they have to go buy these supplies, and then buying these supplies, it's going to cost money. So for all the people that's going to be, they don't have this, they don't have that. Well, if you're not bringing nothing into the storehouse, then you're going to basically rob your church from having what they need in this environment when they have to buy extra stuff. Yes. Because remember, the hospitals are buying it, the restaurants are buying it, now the churches, it's a lot going on. Oh my God.
Yeah. It's a huge ordeal to think through the post-COVID world. Also, what this has taught us, right?
Yes.
We don't have to be at the church all the time.
Come on here now.
To have your meeting that we were ordering all this food to have that went 2-3 hours long, we getting the same work done in 45 minutes in our own homes in front of our computers. So that's a cost saver right there. You don't have to feed all them folk. You know, you don't have to have the lights on all through the night in order to accommodate all those meetings. So we're learning how to use technology to the benefit of the church. And I think there's some things we don't need to be going back to after we come out of this. Some of this stuff we need to leave in the past, and we need to adopt this new reality that COVID has pushed us into.
And definitely just kind of make it work for you. Let me see. Pastor, anything else you want to share? I'm going to eventually have on my friend who is a hairstylist and all that, and hear what he has to say. Anybody got any questions for Pastor Turner? But that's real good. As a matter of fact, funny thing is, I was reading an article today about people who are, doing a 9-to-5, and their other side is the whole, they just burnt out with Zoom webinars, you know. So I said I was kind of gonna address that, because you got to pay attention, you got to set it up, you got to put stuff on, you got to be looking at the, you know, people. So, you know, there's some pros and some cons to it. What are your kids, how do your kids feel about it? You know, they're of age to ask questions, and how come we're not going to church? We're not going outside. We can't do this. Where's daddy? What's going on? What are they saying, and how are they feeling?
Yeah, the initial questions were like, hey, why are you going to church and we're not?
Mm.
And once they kind of they don't really know the extent of what this
Right.
means to the world, but they begin to say things like, after coronavirus, can we do this? So, you know, they don't know the magnitude, but they're getting something is off.
Mm.
And Bridget and I have tried to just create as much normalcy for them as possible, and to be there to, you know, answer any questions in ways that they can understand it. My son is 7, my daughter's 5. They're keen enough to know something is off.
Something, yeah.
But mom and dad are doing their best to try to make stuff normal.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. Pastor, before you go, I want to go back to a conversation you shared with me on the phone about the gambling piece. I'm going to have a licensed counselor on to talk about this compounded grief that we have, and substance abuse and different things like that. And let's be honest, you know, in situations like this where a lot of people have passed and people haven't gotten closure, and sometimes, you know, people reach for alcohol and, you know, gambling and, you know, sex and different things like that. Share with me what you were saying about Tennessee in regard to that whole gambling piece and what's going on across the water. Just, you know, many of us may be from the East Coast, we don't know anything about that.
Yeah, so in many states that sheltered in place, we know liquor stores stayed open.
Yes.
So you have this
because that's essential. That's essential. It's actually a medication. That's why it's essential. Because a whole lot of people, you'd be surprised, people numb their pain.
They're numbing their pain.
Substance abuse, exactly, substance abuse.
And along with that, I just received information this afternoon that our domestic violence shelters are at capacity.
Yes, that's good.
So you have people drinking, you have people being abused. Then, okay, it's time to open up the state. Now, right across the water from Tennessee is Arkansas, to the west of us. Big casino right over the river. To the south of us is a place called Tunica, Mississippi, where there are a number of casinos. That the casinos are already in motion, so that their casinos can be so social. Or
he's buffering. Hold on. My. The casinos are already in motion. They already prepared. Woo, Jesus. And somebody gonna fill them seats too.
A spike in people who
you gotta go back a little bit, Pastor. The casinos are already in motion.
Yeah, the casinos are in motion to set up social distancing, where they're gonna, you know, separate tables and taking out slot machines and things like that. They're gonna provide masks to the gamers and gloves. So they're making everything possible that if I've got an addiction, I can come back in that casino whenever this safer at home or stay at home executive order expires, and I can satisfy or gratify myself by being in that space. So this has brought on a whole lot of destructive behavior that I think churches, even if you don't have the resources, you need to be able to refer people to get them some help in these abusive situations. So whether it's abuse of alcohol, an addiction with gambling, whether it's somebody in an abusive relationship, churches need to be poised to be able to minister to. And let me take it a step further.
Please.
I think there are a lot of us who are in ministry who will have PTSD because we didn't expect this.
Say that again.
We're going to have PTSD because we did not expect it. And we be honest, if you've gone to a seminary didn't prepare you for this. And we've been trying our best to wade through these waters that we found ourselves in. And so I think any church, your elders need to also be thinking about pastors. How can your pastor set up time with a therapist and begin to work through these particular issues that they've encountered while working in through this pandemic that we found ourselves in?
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. You said there's so many people that have PTSD. I mean, that's really heavy. And again, that's why on Friday I have, this professional counselor coming on to address, the pain, the grief and the substance abuse and that whole line, a plethora of addictions and different things that people have and they're suffering from in this particular climate. I think sometimes being in church, we forget, or we just, we've been so closed in, we don't even understand. It's not enough to say, I'm just praying for you and just keep going on. Some people are going to have, in New York City alone, I think I shared with you, I know at least 30 to 35 pastors that have died. So there are a lot of churches that's really going to be reeling from this. It's one thing to know that your leader has died, but it's another thing to walk in that church and that seat is empty. That's a whole total ball game right there. So that's why I want to bring this person on to talk about it. But Pastor, I thank you so much. And I pray, the Lord's blessing upon you in your ministry and what you and your wife are doing and continuing. You got a good foundation, you got a good church and a good staff, and all of that is very, very helpful. And we're praying in Godspeed on you and what you do. Amen.
So much, Dr. Hooper. Keep these conversations going. It's really a blessing the body of Christ.
I certainly will. And I'm here anytime. Anything you got coming up you want to share with the audience at all? Just don't fool with Corona, right? Don't fool with her.
You're going to leave Corona alone.
Thank you, Pastor. I appreciate you so much. Okay. Tell Bridget I said hello, First Lady. Okay, bye-bye. All right, everybody. Oh, my goodness. This has been absolutely wonderful. I have one more guest I want y'all to hear. Now, we talked about some churches and what they're going through and, especially in Georgia on the heels of opening up. But another entity that they talked about that's going to be open up is hair salons. And again, unfortunately, I was not able to patch y'all and my guests through to Facebook. So I appreciate you guys so much for sticking with me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But I am recording this, and so it'll be, the way that you want to see it. It will be there. We're going to upload it to YouTube. All of the videos are going to be uploaded to YouTube. And then you'll be able, I'll put it right there in Facebook, or you can go to my YouTube channel and look at it. But I appreciate y'all so much for just sticking with me. So now we're going to the hair salons. I got my brother, my cousin, one of my first cousins, all the way from Detroit, Michigan. He's got an amazing hair salon. Let me try to just bring him in Southfield, Michigan, and he does several celebrities. We had Bishop Ellis on, I think about a week or so ago, Bishop Charles Ellis, the pastor of Greater Grace Temple and the former presiding prelate of the PAW churches, and he does his hair. He does Lady Crusette hair. As a matter of fact, Rodney, I said to myself, oh my God, he did my hair on the back of this book, y'all. So if you got my book, I forgot about that. It's been so long.
I remember because you came here and did the photo shoot.
I took this picture at the church. He did my hair, and Lady Ellis sent the sister there to beat my little face, and Greater Grace, But anyway, so Rodney is the founder of Hairshion. Like I said, he has a beautiful salon. Upscale all the way. You can follow him on Facebook and see all his fashion and all of that good stuff. But he's going to be opening up his salon soon. So I kind of just wanted to bring him in to talk to us. For those of you who are entrepreneurs, and particularly you want to hang around because they've been talking about, get loans and money, and you may want to know, how do I do it? So he's been telling me, Hooper, this is what I'm doing as an entrepreneur. So he's going to be sharing that information. So Rodney, welcome. Now, in the midst of this pandemic, you have had to close your shop. You know, people not getting their hair done. Just from an entrepreneur point of view, share with my audience what that's been like for you, not to be able to have your shop open. First of all, how long have you had the shop?
It's been, now I'm telling my age. It's been about, I've been in business for about 35 years.
Okay,
So,
how long you had the shop?
some time. I had the salon for 24 years. I've been in business as far as the hair salon business for 24 years.
Let me correct it. He don't have a shop, y'all. He has a salon.
It's a salon. And then this one is our new location.
It looked like one too.
Yeah, this is our new location. So we only been at this new location for 3 years. 3 years. Yeah. So
tell me what it's been like for you having a salon for 24 years. I mean, going there, you know, every day, you know, the only other day you probably not going is on Sunday, but every day you're going, you're doing the people's hair and all that. Is this the first time you've ever faced something like this when you've been shut down?
It was, you know what, and I in the beginning, I was terrified half to death when they said you got to shut your business down. And I'm like,
why? Tell me why.
I'm like, really?
Where you going? You're fine. Sit back. Go back where you was. Where you going?
Oh, no. I got my baby. I got to let my baby out.
Oh, you got to let the dog in, y'all.
And it always happens when I'm on an interview or doing something, sitting here, he's got to go to the bathroom.
Oh, Lord. Okay, so get back to your space so we can finish this, because you're going to buffer if you move around. Okay,
here we go.
Okay.
We're back.
So you said, you know, you felt just all out of sorts. Tell us about that, you know, because I'm sure a lot of entrepreneurs felt that type of way because ain't no money coming in. So tell us about that.
None. So let me tell you what happened is we were shut down last because a lot of people were wondering why hair salons still open. I don't know why they made us wait till last, but I was trying to make all the money that I could, my stylist and I, so that we would be able to last. Because of course we didn't know how long we were going to be shut down. So it was very scary. And it was towards the end of the month, I think the 25th of March was a Saturday, and that was our last day in the salon. So the first thing was that, okay, rent is due next month for the salon. So I have a lot of responsibilities when you own a business. Of course, you know, any business owner would know. So the first thing I did is immediately contact my landlord because I wanted to make sure that, you know, my business was going to be secure as far as me being able to pay rent or what have you. And a lot of things, Hooper, a lot of entrepreneurs in the hair industry don't do, and some of them too, I feel kind of bad for. A lot of them don't pay taxes. And a lot of them, they make a lot of money, but they're not setting money aside because, you know, it's a little harder when you're an entrepreneur. You have to handle all of your disability, your health insurance, you know, your savings, we don't have 401ks, we have IRAs. So those are things that you have to set aside. So we're so busy, and you know me, cousin, just like you, we like to shop. We like to go and spend money, and then as far as putting money aside, a lot of times hairstylists don't do that. So I find that a lot of my colleagues, they got kind of caught off guard, and they did not have the money that they needed to last for, you know.
You're saying like some saved up money, some back money for 3 or 4 months.
Back up money, exactly, which is so important. So, but the first thing I did is contact my landlord so that I can make some arrangements with him. And I had a great landlord. I did have rent because I was preparing for it because it's the end of March, but I didn't know how long this was going to go. So I didn't want to give him all of my money. So he agreed that I could pay him half of the rent and then the other half of the rent later on down the line. So now, as you know, that here in Michigan, they're extending our stay at home, which I think is a great idea because we really don't know what's going on, you know, with this thing. But they had, what helped me out, and it was a blessing, and the two of us had talked about it, you know, for the last few weeks. And on social media, I made sure that I shared everything with the people, the small business owners on social media, so that they could start immediately applying for the grants and some of the grants are unforgivable, so they wouldn't have to pay it back.
Hold on right there. So this is my last guest, everybody. This is Rodney Howell. So he is on Facebook. Rodney, y'all know how to spell that last name, Howell, and he just shared that he put up a lot of information on his page. So if you are an entrepreneur, and particularly if you have a business, that's one of the reasons why I wanted him to come on, is because I wanted you to get that information. So make sure you go to his page or tag your friends so you can get some of the information that he's not gonna tell us everything today, but he's kind of put some stuff already out there that you want to tap into. Okay, Rod, so go ahead.
And you know what, too, a lot of people don't know that in your particular county, they have grants, not just the state, but in your county. So I live in Detroit, but I live in Oakland County. So therefore, I live in Southfield. I'm sorry, it's a suburb.
You don't live in Detroit. I'm like, you don't live in Detroit.
Right, I live in Southfield. It's a suburb right outside of Detroit, but I'm in Oakland County, and Detroit is Wayne County. So each county had grants for people. So check your local counties. You can Google it, and it comes up. And apply, you guys. Apply for everything. They have the unemployment. A lot of us thought that we weren't able to apply for unemployment.
I heard that.
Prior to this, we weren't able because we're self-employed. So therefore we weren't paying for unemployment into the system. And the government has allowed, I think that's the only good thing, and Trump didn't only do it himself, but they have set aside the PUA, and that's for the Pandemic Unemployment Association, so that we as entrepreneurs and independent contractors are able to collect unemployment. So you guys have to apply for that through your state, and you're able to get the unemployment that they're going to give us. And here in Michigan, and I know there in New York and different states, they vary, of course. But you get a certain amount for the unemployment, but you're guaranteed $600 from the government. So this is something that's guaranteed, and we get it weekly.
Didn't have at the end of the day. It's some food on the table. Yeah.
And it's weekly, and it's for 39 weeks.
Oh my God, I'm calling them off.
So that's some money that we can use, perhaps to pay some of our bills. And what I suggest to everybody is that contact your creditors and your landlord and the mortgage companies and set up arrangements with them so that you don't have to spend all of your money that you have coming in on your bill. Because they all have different programs and they're working with people. And one thing too, Hoover, I was so—
if you make the call, they will work with you.
There you go. And I was so surprised. I shut down. I had a lot of stuff coming out of my checking account. You got all your bills and stuff. So I shut all that down. But one bill ended up coming through, and I was trying to transfer the money over, and I didn't. So I ended up having a couple of return check fees. And I'm like, oh, no, I can't afford no return check. In my bank, if it's not their fault, they are not giving you your money back. But the thing was that I called them.
Yes.
And to my surprise, they were forgiving that. And a lot of people didn't know that.
Yes.
But I explained to them, right now, I'm financially challenged. They closed my business. They refunded me my money. Well,
let me just interject and say here, Rodney, and I'm glad that you're sharing that. One of the reasons why they're doing things like that is because they don't want to lose you as a customer.
Right.
So you have to realize how valuable you are, as well as a cut. You see what I'm saying? Because if Verizon loses me, then I'm going to go over to T-Mobile. So they don't want to lose you over $6. You know what I'm saying? So I'm glad you did that. Let's talk a little bit about the salon. Have you been thinking about, once things start opening up again, how you're going to run the salon? Tell us some of the things you've been thinking about, whether you got it etched in stone or you just have ideas. What are some of the things you're thinking about?
Okay, the first thing, and I try to stay ahead of the curve because I'm sitting at home, I ain't doing nothing. So I'm sitting, and then I'm trying to keep my stylists, at ease, because they're terrified half to death. They're not going. And just a little secret, don't y'all tell nobody, but every now and then I'll run in to the salon if it's an emergency, just every now and then, if I have to.
And do a customer's hair.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's, and we're always safe. We're always safe. And a lot of people fail to realize the salons, we're mandated by the government to sanitize. We have to sanitize. You know, we'll get a ticket if we have just as much as a little hair in the sink.
And now, wait a minute, is that just Michigan or that's everywhere?
That's everywhere. Anybody
all these freaky dink salons is only the reason why they're not getting tickets is because somebody ain't coming through.
Exactly, definitely. And you can get ticketed here in Michigan. You'll be in trouble if you opened up your salon and they caught you in there. You would get a ticket because they want everybody to stay at home, which they should. You know, they're trying to flatten the curve, and in order for them to do so, we need to stay home. We need to stay at home.
How do you plan to be proactive? You know, as the founder.
What we're doing is I went into the salon for one. And I did a video, you know, I love, like you, going on social media and taking advantage of the platform. So I did a video that I'm going to send to all of my customers and put it on social media as well, the new temporary norm, because I'm not claiming it's just temporary, y'all. This too shall pass. It's going to pass. But I did a video just so that my guests, when they come back, I wanted to assure them that we have their best interests at heart when it comes to this.
That's good.
As well as them, as well as my stylist. So some of the new rules that we're going to have in the salon is for one, when you schedule an appointment, we're scheduling per hour, and then we're scheduling according to the services that you're going to receive, so that we won't overlap in customers. So
what do you mean as an example? What do you mean by that?
Okay, so meaning overlap, we only want one customer in the chair. Once we're finished with her, then she'll be able to exit the building, and then we take our next customer. So it's 6 of us there in the salon. It's 5 stylists and there's 1 esthetician, and she has her own room. So therefore, if all 5 stylists are working at one time and they have a customer, then it's going to be 10 of us in the space. And my salon is large enough that we're more than 6 feet apart. But you know, in the hair industry, we're hands-on. So we're going to be right there, you know, touching. So one of the requirements is that you have to have a mask on in order to get your hair service. And the stylists are going to wear masks too.
Okay.
We're getting rid of, you know, we have the coffee, the tea, and all of that, all those other extra amenities we're going to have to get rid of, because, you know, those are hands-on and you can transfer any type of disease. The magazines, we're getting rid of the magazines, no candy. So it's going to be strictly like, because, you know, in African-American salons, people like to come and we socialize there.
Right.
We go and we gather and we enjoy one another. So what we're going to do is we're going to have to scale down just temporary.
Okay.
Get this over. And also what we're going to do too is we're going to cover the shampoo bowls, because you know your neck lays in the shampoo bowl. And now normally, and we always sanitize before the next guest get in the shampoo bowl, but we're going to use plastic like saran wrap.
Okay, got you.
Your neck glaze. So that's something that's not real expensive, something that you can get and you can use every customer that lays there, so that therefore their neck won't lay on the bowl.
So let me just say this again. So you put a video together basically showing them the new temporary normal of these types of things that you're talking about, so that they can think to themselves, going to the salon is a place that I feel comfortable receiving my service. I really like that. And those people that have those types of businesses, you know, we want to encourage you to also think. That's why we're having, you know, somebody like Rodney Howell on, because you want to keep the business going, and you want people.
And you have to show them too that you're sanitizing. They need to see you washing your hands or using hand sanitizers before they sit in your chair. They need to see you wiping down your chair, you know, prior to them sitting in. They need to see you cleaning off your implements, your combs, and disinfecting your hair clippers and all of those things, because the clients, when they're sitting there, or even prior to the pandemic, all they have to do is just sit and watch you if they're not on their phone. So they're watching everything that you do. And then even more so now. since that we're in this crisis and everybody's afraid. People are scared.
Right.
So,
About
you know,
coming
if
out.
you get the clients to the salon, you have to gain their trust, because people's lives literally are at
Good.
stake.
Yeah.
And then the seniors too, another thing that I had for the seniors, just like what they're doing here in Michigan, they allow the seniors to go into the market earlier than everybody else. So I'm set a day aside if the seniors, but I think here in Michigan, it's going to be a law that not a law, but right now, they don't want anybody coming out. I just heard on the news, anybody that's over 67 or 65, they don't want them coming out. So, but if so, right, because I do a lot of seniors, and you know, I have a senior hair salon as well, right? So,
they don't
but
want them coming out at all.
no, they don't want them unless it's, you know, necessity, if they're going to the doctors, and then they want people to really go to the market for them. So they're trying to stop seniors from coming, but I was going to make sure that I had a day that was set aside just for the seniors, so that they'll be able to get in and get out, and, you know, not the hustle and the bustle in the salon won't be anymore. You know, you'll be able, this is one time during this time that you'll be able to get in and get out.
In and out, yeah, so it's not crowded. You know, I talked about something, and we're not going to keep you much longer, about another 10 minutes, but I made a statement, something I thought about, and I don't know if I kind of shared it with you, but I kind of thought to myself, and I shared on Facebook, I said, listen, if you want your hair done, and there's going to be a long line, and everybody, and you know, they probably already blowing up your phone. I want to be first. I want to be first. You better. But I shared with everybody, Rodney, and I said, what I would do if I was you is I would try to take care and bless my hairstylist now, so that when things open up and you're able to come back in, that your hairstylist will think of you and kind of put you at the top of the list, because when they were struggling, you made sure they got $25 or $50 or $100 during the month. What do you think about that? Do you think that it's important that, you know, clients remember you guys during this particular time as well?
Right. Well, those that, and me being the salon owner, you know, it's the rule of thumb in the salon is that if you're the salon owner, it's proper etiquette that you don't tip the salon owner. I'm like, I'm the one who needs.
Oh, thank you for telling me. I didn't know. Thank you for telling me.
I got more bills than everybody else there.
True.
Cooper, it's like the customers, some of them are, and I've had a couple of customers that had asked me if you want me to pay you for the month or what have you, and I thought that that was so nice of them, but I thank God that I did plan ahead, and you know, for in case an emergency happens, and then I thank God that I was blessed to get the grant and then the unemployment, so therefore I didn't need it. And, you know, they probably need it for something but it's very nice if the clients can do that. And then we're still going to service them the same.
Oh,
but,
yeah, absolutely.
You know, that's how I am. It's like whoever.
Yeah, but see, I want the 9 o'clock appointment. So I'm like,
and everybody don't want that first appointment. Now, that first appointment may be a little more money than. And only reason is.
Oh, wait a minute. And the other that I said, and y'all heard me say this, you're going to have all that new growth underneath there.
It's going to be
work. Extra color. It's going to be extra work. Yeah.
You know what? We're going to have to transform ourselves again, because I sat here and got lazy. Now I know what it's like to get a check and just sit at home and do nothing.
Getting that $600 every 36 weeks. You may not want to.
I'll be sitting at home, be like, wait, I'll be there in 20 more minutes.
Where's Corona? I want her back.
Exactly. So, you know, we have to kind of reprogram ourselves and get back into the groove of working, but we're going to make it, and I know in my salon, we're going to make it an awesome experience for you. It's going to be safe, and I'm working on some things. And another thing I wanted to share too, if we have stylists or, you know, your guests that are listening, let your stylist know to go to barberside.com. And Barberside.
Okay, somebody put that on the screen. Barberside.
Barberside.
Barber like a barbershop?
No, Barberside.
Just write that down. B-A-R.
B-A-R-B.
B-A-R-B.
I-C.
I-C.
I-D-E. .com.
Okay, Talisa, put that on. Somebody put that on. What is that?
Right. And what it is, and then stylists knows, hairstylists and barbers know, that's something that we use to sanitize within the salon. It's something that we have to have. If you ever notice going into a hair salon, and you should have, because they should have it, they have a glass container and it's blue. And they have their implements, their tools, and their combs and stuff. So that's barbicide, and that's something that we use to sanitize with. And what they're doing now is they're certifying stylists in a class, a sanitizing class, and then they're giving you a certificate after you do it. It takes about 5 minutes to do it online. And what it does is that with this certificate, you can put it up on your door before the guest comes in, and it lets you know that this salon is COVID-19 sanitized. We've done everything that we're supposed to do, and that's something that will give the customers some reassurance.
Level of comfort. Thank you, Lisa. So it's like those restaurants, they have the letters A, B, C, so you'll know, the cleanliness, things like,
exactly, which is important, because those are the things, Hooper, that we want to show our guests and let them know that we are going to do everything that we possibly can to make sure that they're safe and that,
that's the same
everything
thing I've been saying about churches, kind of been putting that conversation out there that, people are not going to just come to church because you say, hey, the doors are open, come on back. People, so many people unfortunately have passed away, and people just want to know that to come to your church, it's a safe place, because at the end of the day,
important, because how safe folk are. They be like, oh, we covered by the blood, and they speaking in tongues, but them folk died too. So we got to use wisdom. Just because the church doors are open doesn't necessarily mean that we got to start flocking and running in, because church is within us. And we put Jesus everywhere we go, but we have to make sure, and our pastors have to make sure that we're safe. And it is so important to be wise. And
let me ask you, Rodney, as we wrap up, what are some of the things that some stylists have been doing in lieu of the fact that we've had this pandemic and they haven't had that steady income and working in a salon? What are some things that stylists out there have been doing? Maybe it's somebody that's watching is like, I need money and I don't know what to do. And what's some ideas? Do you know of anything?
Let me tell you one good thing that a couple of stylists that I know do. Now, in my salon, majority of the women in African American salons, they how they sell products in the salons. And in the African American salons, a lot of times women, they come on a regular basis, so therefore they don't need any hair products to maintain their hair in between visits or what have you. So some African American salons have products and some don't. But those that did have product, they had an advantage, because they were able to put together a package from off of the products that they sell, and then sell those to their customers so that they're able to maintain their hair during the pandemic. So they got very creative with putting together, probably a shampoo or, some spray or conditioner or conditioner. And that's something that they
all that stuff they had, up against the wall in their house trying to push. And they emptied out. What about tutorials? Do you hear some stylists doing some tutorials on YouTube or Facebook monetizing?
Right, and they have. I know I went on with a couple of my stylists, and just to be busy and put stuff out there, because of course people are concerned about their hair color. Some of them, their husbands don't know that their hair gray, and some of the wives don't know their husband's hair is gray. So everybody,
as a matter of fact, one of the things they have been saying is that that's after the toilet paper and all of that. That the next thing that's been selling now is the hair color. They've been talking about,
and it has because Cooper, the beauty supplies are closed. So I don't tell nobody. I went into the drugstore looking for some color.
Don't worry, it's about 100 people on here that say it, so did I.
Exactly. You know what? No, we don't do that. We do not promote box colors, because those are some of the hardest things to get rid of and to change. Because once that color's on that hair, it's a process to get that color off of the hair. So, and it's a corrective thing and it's very expensive to get that done. That's how come we try to encourage our customers to use. They have powders that you can use for your hair. They have sprays, and they have
Right.
little markers. And, you know, normally we tell
But you do
people
have
wear
some
a band.
stylists that are doing tutorials and stuff like that. Maybe, you know, is anybody doing, and I just thought about this, but I don't know. Are anybody doing some Zooms one-on-one with people? Like, for instance, I call you up, Rodney, can you help me to fix my hair? And I pay you $50 and you help walk me through it. Is anybody doing anything like that?
Now that is, and we tried to, and I saw that on Good Morning America. It was a celebrity stylist, and he was teaching some of the women how to apply color, what have you. But me personally and some other professionals, we try to refrain from doing that. You know what I'm saying? Because when you use a chemical, you have to really know what you're doing. Because you know,
but what if I'm trying to get a ponytail or something like,
now,
you know,
something like that, we can help you with. Now, you know, you can go on YouTube and there's a whole bunch of unlicensed hairdressers on there. They got all
Rodney, let me get you off.
And our thing is, we let them go on there and do it. So when you come back, we're going to charge you an arm and a leg to fix it. So that's kind of careful, you know, but it's okay. Like you said, a ponytail, we have encouraged some of our customers to, you know, if they're not going out, and a lot of people are working from home. So if you shampoo it and braid it, you know, and it's giving the hair a break too.
Because
it's important, because we done flat ironed it and we done blew it.
I tell you, everything is at rest. I didn't even think about that. The whole world is resting. Even our hair is resting.
Some conditioner on your hair and let it sit. That's a good thing to do, to just give it a break. Unless you have to show up for work or something, then we're more than happy to show you how to maintain it in between until you come back. But the chemicals, we try to refrain from doing that and maintain the integrity of our profession.
Wow, Rodney, this is great. Any last tips, you know, you want to share with the audience? And thank you for your patience in getting on. But anything you kind of want to share? I appreciate the tips that you were sharing about the grants and the county. I mean, those are some really good tips. And while you're thinking about that, again, I want to encourage you all. Rodney is always on social media. He is totally hilarious, everybody. Like, he has tons of people following him because he's so hilarious. But he's been very entertaining. Him and his dog, what's the dog name again? Bentley, yes. And he's pretty, where's he at? Let the people see him. He's so pretty.
Right here. He's sitting in my every move. That's how come I had to stop.
But he's a great guy.
He had to go to the bathroom for the 50th time. Say hello.
Is he a poodle? What is he?
He's a Bichon. Oh, thank you, baby.
Whatever that is, everybody.
A Bichon. And look, my baby need a haircut. I did the best I can do. I don't do dogs.
The dog need a haircut too.
Exactly. So both of us, look, we twins. We got hair, curly hair.
I gotta get him off here because he's crazy. Listen, Rodney, thank you so much. I appreciate you and all the wisdom and the tips and everything, you know, and I'll check back in with you just to see how things are going on your first week. I know Michigan hasn't opened up.
And let me say too to you, cousin, I am so proud of you. I watch you in the morning. I've seen you doing your exercise and just encouraging people.
You ain't exercising with me.
I know, look.
I'm trying to stretch with the people. 8 a.m. everybody.
But you keep doing what you're doing. We love you, and we're so glad that we have you out here, because it's very few pastors that are on, and I don't know if they don't know what to say or what to do, but we need somebody to uplift us and encourage us here on social media. Some of them probably aren't social media savvy, you know. This is the new norm, the new thing that's going on, and trust me and your viewers, we appreciate what you're doing, so keep it coming.
Thank you, Rodney. You keep us laughing and smiling. Let me say goodbye to the people, and then I'll hit you back in a minute.
Okay.
But I just want to say I love you too, Rodney. I want to say to everybody, thank you so much for joining me. All of our amazing guests that were on, Bishop Jamie Johnson. Y'all I gotta upload this so y'all could just hear what he was talking about in regard to what's going on in the prison system. We got brothers and sisters that are behind the walls there, everybody, but we have to continue to pray for them and look out for them and make sure that when they call that we pick up that phone, because you may be the only lifeline to them hearing what's going on the outside world. But we thank God for all the amazing work that he's doing behind the scenes in the area of chaplaincy. And if you want to get into that, I have a product on my website that could really help you in how to break into the whole world of chaplaincy. And then we had, let me see, Pastor Corey Hambrick. He also came on and just talked to us about, you know, what's going on in Georgia in regard to the churches there. Oh God, let me see, who else did I have on? Y'all forgive me. Sometimes I got so much stuff going on in front of me. Lord have mercy. Pastor Jason Turner from Tennessee, Megachurch pastor. I wanted to talk to somebody that can tell us, well, how y'all doing it? How you working it out? He's doing eulogies, you know, already pre-recorded. So if your loved one passed away, he can make sure he stays connected and let you know that they still care. I thought that was just genius and wonderful. I appreciated Pastor Corey Hambrick, you know, talk about that Melchizedek anointing, his book, Pain Promotion, you know, and that whole dual bivocational, you know, he's progressing toward being a sheriff. We need people like that in the body of Christ, in the marketplace. And finally, my cousin, my brother from Greater Grace Temple, Bishop Charles Ellis Church, hairstylist Rodney Howell. Y'all make sure y'all can follow all of these people on Facebook. Everybody's on Facebook. Listen, before we go tonight, I want to say this one last thing. I've been waiting. I told y'all that I have been waiting to get somebody on here to talk to us with all of this compounded grief. If you are in the tri-state area of New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut, you know we have been inundated with so much compounded grief with so many of our ministry leaders that have passed away and gone home to be with the Lord. And of course, other loved ones and other people, but I wanted somebody to come on who was a professional that deals with this every single day. They are ministering to people on a professional license level. And Bishop James Chambers, the senior minister of the Greater St. Mary Church in Brooklyn, New York, will be on right on here Friday at 1 p.m. And we're going to make sure we get on early enough so we could tap into Facebook. I apologize that we had that glitch. It wasn't my fault, but we made sure that we still got it in, everybody. But he's going to be with us on Friday. And I want you to know you do not want to miss it. He is phenomenal. A lot of people have been talking about what are we going to do with all this grief that we're dealing with when we get back to our churches, people not having closure. You know, some people basically start tapping into substance abuse. People are feeling guilty because they wasn't there when their loved one died. It's a lot going on, but Bishop James Chambers will be on with us on Friday at 1 p.m. And I certainly want to encourage you to make sure that you're with us. You'll see the flyer come up. I want to ask you that you would just share it. Okay, so that's this coming Friday. And we're going to try to have some more guests on with us on next week. There's some other pastors that are in the wing, and the Lord's blessing me to also bring them on. But again, you know, I apologize that we wasn't able to get our guests in here. And sometimes that happens on social media. And not only that, right now, this is why I teach these courses and things, because right now, you know, our social media is just being inundated with live streams. What would have happened tonight if I had Zoom and I tried to go on the Facebook and I couldn't get into Facebook, and then you couldn't hear, see, you couldn't do anything? But you got to stay ahead of that curve, and you got to know what to do. So I'm still recording right now, and you got a chance to hear each and every guest that I had. So to God be the glory that we have the footage and you still got blessed with the information. So again, we're going to make sure that we upload all of this for you so you can see their faces, but you can follow everybody on Facebook. It was just absolutely phenomenal, and to God be the glory. All right, everybody. I'm going to end here. My name is Dr. Debora Hooper, and I am the ministry coach. You can feel free to go to my website at deborahhooper.com and follow me on social media. You can always, when you go to my website, join my email list. That way, you'll be the first to know whenever I'm about to make a move in these ministry streets, okay? And also on YouTube, subscribe to my channel because I do upload stuff. There's stuff over there. And last but not least, on Facebook, I have a preachers group, Hooper's Preacher Talk, okay? Where we just talk about preacher stuff. That's it. No clothes, no nothing else. We just talk about preacher talk. And so if you are a preacher, and I do vet you, I'm just going to tell y'all, I do vet you. I do go to your Facebook page because I want to know whether or not you are really legitimately a preacher. Because there are some things that we talk about that if you're not a preacher, you won't understand. You might, start judging us a certain kind of way. We got a lot of struggles. We got a whole lot of stuff that goes on with being a preacher, and it's not always pretty, and it's not always nice, because at the end of the day, as I often say, we are spiritual, we are not divine. I just said something right there. We are spiritual, we are not divine, okay? And of course, we already got that human side, so we got that struggles, but God's going to still give us the victory that causes us to triumph. Again, listen, the Lord bless you again, each and every one of you that has joined us on tonight. We pray that you would have a restful night on tonight. Tomorrow morning at 8 a.m., I'll be right back here on Facebook, and I'll be looking for you to stretch your size with me. All right, everybody, the Lord bless you. And again, thank you so much for joining me, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.